week. Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. They tell me it's Friday the 13th. Boo! Happy Friday. Welcome to Financial Focus University. My name is Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO. As some of you might know, I have several lives. My first life is I am the owner and CEO of a financial advisory firm on the surface of the internet called RIVIECCIO Financial Advisors. My second life is I am an adjunct professor of personal finance for both Herbert H. Lehman College as well as Monroe College. And let's wish all the college graduates around America a very safe final exam week, right? My exams are tough. And my third life is hosting this wonderful show, teaching us about personal finance. Ladies and gentlemen, I suspect we're going to have a wonderful 30-minute show today. We're going to be talking about three very important things that are happening in your life. The first item is, of course, will be our traditional Bidenomics segment, where we will talk about financial and market news. Some of you might know we've had another crazy week. We'll get into that in a moment. Our second segment, as well as our third segment, has to do with credit and debt. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks talking about credit and debt. Our second segment will be called How to Use Your Credit Card Wisely. We really need to understand, especially in this period of time that we're in, how to use our credit card appropriately. And then our third and final segment is our traditional Ask the Question segment. And of course, we always encourage our audience to ask a question. We received a question from Danny in the Bronx, and he simply said, what is a good credit score? Which I think is a very good question because most Americans, including myself growing up, had no idea what a credit score was. So we're going to talk Bidenomics, we're going to talk credit, and we're going to talk credit. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. We're going to talk about Bidenomics. Ladies and gentlemen, Bidenomics, as you know, covers financial and market news and information. We're going to get ready to go to our first set of slides, but let me share with you four very important items that were digested by the financial markets this week. Remember, inflation is now, I'm sure you know, up. However, in percentages terms, it's been diagnosed to be at 8%. Why is that important? Well, if you remember, a year ago, our inflation rate was at 2%. So not only, so it's affecting our pocketbooks, Main Street, as well as Wall Street via your 401ks. The second thing that has affected our financial markets this week are interest rates. Now, the Federal Reserve Board, who's in charge of our interest rates, he indicated that he wanted interest rates to go up 50 basis points. They did. But this was something that was well announced, and we'll talk about the effects of that announcement in a moment. Of course, we may not know the third of the four items that took place this week in our U.S. economy, and believe it or not, we're finding out that COVID is starting to go back up, more in what I call the dangerous area, the hospitalizations area. We're now finding out that the variants are affecting everyone. And I won't go any further than that because I'm a financial doctor, not a medical doctor. But when the COVID numbers recently came out, it had both a personal effect, a human effect, and of course, a financial effect. And then, of course, the fourth and final area is, and I'll summarize it by saying, we have many foreign concerns, right? If we're not aware, North Korea fired 2 new ballistic bombs in the last week. Of course, we're having issues with both Russia and China, and those issues, even though they might be considered secondary this week, all affected our market. So, how did our financial markets do? Let's start with the stock market. And ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We're trying to get our first set of slides up, but I think the Grand Poobah, who's in charge of our backdoor operation, I think he opened up his 401k account and he might have fell off of the chimney. So let me share with you how the market went day by day. So on Monday, the market went down 3%, right? So let's start from here, right? It went down 3%. And then on Tuesday, it went up 0.3, right? A little teeny weeny bit amount. On Wednesday, it went down another 2%, right? Just boom. On Thursday, it went down again, just a little amount, 0.1%. And if you're not aware as to how the stock market did today, we had a great day. We averaged out today at a positive 2.9%, right? So we started off at -3, we kept going down, we inched up a little bit, and then on Friday we had a nice big bang, right? What does that mean? What does that mean to your money? What does that mean to your 401k plans? What does that mean to your investment? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if we have the slides up, I'll be glad to share with you how it went. I will do that verbally as opposed to visually. So for the week, the market went down. The market went down 1.9%, right? So all that down, up for the week, it went down -1.9%. How has the market been doing since the beginning of the year? The stock market from January 1 to today, 19 weeks, has gone down 13%. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share this with you. I did some backdoor numbers waiting to start our show, and I said, you know what? Let me take the breath of what I just said to you, right? How the market has done from the beginning of the year to now, and take that and put it into a 1-year chart. What would it look like? And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, and I double checked it because I couldn't believe it, based on the volatility, if we took the breath and put it into a 1-year chart, you would be losing 76% of your investment. So what have I been saying for the last several weeks? And I'll say it again, call your financial advisor. There is no better time than right now to pick up the phone and talk about the markets, talk about your 401k plans, get yourself some information and some advice. Real quickly, we talked about the stock market. Let's talk about the bond market. You heard me mention that the Federal Reserve Board said that they wanted interest rates to go up 50 basis points, and they've been making that announcement for several weeks. So what happened this week when it finally happened? Well, the market actually digested that. But because the market overall is having such a bad week, interest rates did not go up. They went down. So the 2-year Treasury bill actually went down 4% in value. You can now get a 2-year Treasury bill at 2.6%. The 10-year Treasury bill also went down in value. It went down 7% in value. And you can get a 10-year Treasury bond now at 2.9%. So, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize, what is going up because everything else is going down? Savings accounts, CD accounts, safe and guaranteed banking accounts. Remember those? The ones that were paying 0.000 for the last 30 years? Well, they're starting to go up. I wouldn't recommend any asset allocation until you speak to a financial advisor. If anybody needs any direct assistance, feel free to give me a call, 347-575-5600. 5045. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And I see you got a message. We got a message from what member of our audience by the name of Robert Press. You said down Monday 3%, Tuesday up a notch, Wednesday down 2%, Thursday down a notch, Friday up 2.9%, and you said 2%, but but is it 2.1%? Can you add and subtract? Mr. Press, let me give you the average numbers real quick before we go to our second segment. On Monday, it went down 3%. On Tuesday, 0.3, up. Wednesday down 2%, Thursday down 0.1%, and Friday up 2.9%. And ladies and gentlemen, I should say, when I give the stock market reports in particular, that is the combined average of the major four markets, actually, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and the Russell 500. I don't think it's fair to cover each one segmentatiously, so I like to put them combined. That's pretty much what you're going to see in your 401k statement. Robert, I hope I was able to help you, although your index keeps going down. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into our second segment, how to use your credit card wisely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and I know the much younger audience is going to be very surprised to hear what I'm going to say. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have been in a 30-year period of good money. What I mean by good money is moderate interest rates, moderate inflation, mostly good non-inflationary economic growth. So those are good times, right? And when it's time, and when you have good times like that, sometimes you feel like you want to use a credit card, right? Well, you know, we can have a whole hour conversation about the good, bad, uglies of the credit card. But let's get beyond that and today talk about how to use it wisely and responsible, right? So let's get to the first slide. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you 4 ideas, and please write these down. And if you like a copy of the slides, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be glad to give you a copy of the slides. What's most important is that you understand the 4 steps that I'm going to mention. So, step 1, grace period. Now, most credit card companies have grace periods. What are grace periods? Grace periods is when you use the card to purchase something, and then you might have 10 days, you might have 20 days, you might have 30 days to be able to pay that purchase back with no interest at all. So I have a credit card, I won't mention the company, that has a 30-day grace period. So I know as long as I pay that purchase back within 30 days, no matter how much my credit card is, and most credit cards are now, still at 15%, 16%, 17%. As long as you pay it within that grace period, you don't pay any interest at all. Now, every grace period is different. So the moral of this part of the story is call your vendor, find out what your grace period is, right? You want to have the power over a credit card. Trust me, you don't want the power of paying 17, 18, 19% interest. So, step 2. Step 2, remember, you want to use it sparingly, and while using it sparingly, you also want to pay it in full. When I use the phrase sparingly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about small purchases. I'm talking about purchases that are, in the 0% to $100, maybe even $200, dollar range. Maybe taking someone out to dinner. I'm single and available if anybody's interested. Or maybe buying some clothes, right? And you want to make that small purchase. And like I said, when you make that small purchase, right, find out when your grace period is, because you know what happens when you pay it before the grace period is over? Not only do you not pay any interest, but your credit card score starts to go up because you're paying good credit on time. See, a lot of people don't understand that small little part of it, right? People always ask me, Anthony, how can I make my credit score better? Right? One simple way is pay it on time. So again, step one, find out your grace period. Number two, use the card for small purchases. Big purchases, we'll talk about in a moment. So, step three, cash back awards. And again, call your vendor to find out what your cash back awards are. Cash back awards are what we call specialized purchases. So, for example, I have a credit card company that maybe once a month, once a year, 1 month a year, will give me 10% back on any groceries that I buy throughout the course of that month. I believe it's in September, my credit card alerts me that any office supplies that I buy for the month of September, I might get 10% off. Well, that's not bad, right? Last year or 2 years ago, I believe it was, I bought $800 worth of office supplies, right? That was a big purchase. We'll get to that in a moment, right? But for the moment, we'll consider it a small purchase. And I got an $80 discount, and I paid the rest of it on time, right? So how do you handle big purchases, right, as opposed to small purchases? Well, that's going to have to do with our last step, our fourth step. If you're going to make big purchases, forget the credit cards you have now. Go out and do credit card shopping. It's very important that you use one separate card for any big ticket items. And with that big ticket item, of course, you want to pay the lowest amount of interest that you can, right? You're not going to be able to pay within any grace period unless, God bless you. And again, I'm single and available. So, go out, do credit card shopping. In today's world, it's not hard to do. Although if anybody, again, needs any help, feel free to give me a call. But with big purchases, you want to use a separate card. So to summarize, ladies and gentlemen, how to use your credit card wisely, basically it comes down to doing four things. Two of them you would call the vendor. The first is find out when your grace period is, right? You want to call the vendor and find that out. The second thing is you also want to call the vendor and find out when are your cash back awards, right? What are they? When do they apply? As I indicated a moment ago, some do it on, a special item per month, right? So you might want to know what those things are. The third item, again, remember, you want to use your current card for small purchases, paying it on time, in full. And with big purchases, forget the cards you have now, go out and go credit card shopping, get a lower card. And we'll talk about that later on in the show as well. Hope it was helpful, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to talk about our third and final segment for the evening. It's called our traditional Ask the Question segment. And this week, staying on credit and debt as a topic, we got a question from Danny that lives in the Bronx. And Danny's question was very simple. What is a good credit score? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you should know right off the top that the people that create and activate credit scores are credit card companies, right? They have their own formulas. And I would venture to say that I'm not going to go into the formula because I can tell you, you can take a class at one of the colleges I teach. That segment alone would be a 3-hour lesson. So, notwithstanding that, right? What they do, what these companies do in the big two are Experian and TransUnion, is they create what are called FICO scores. And these scores are set very similar in nature, right? But of course, we don't, understand what they are, right? We're assigned a number based on this formula. We don't know what it is. But the people that we want to borrow money from, this is how they guide their decisions. So when we go to the next slide, we're going to see that in the credit card world, right, there are basically 5 areas to talk about. And I'm going to ask our producer to stay on this slide for the rest of the show. There are 5 areas to talk about. One is called poor, one is fair, one is good, one is very good, and the other one is excellent. And you'll see in the poor section, the score would be a traditional 300. So the lowest score you can get is 300. And it will go as high as 579. Well, as you can see, that's poor, right? Ladies and gentlemen, according to Experian and TransUnion, 40% of Americans are right now in poor condition. So let's talk about fair. Fair is 580 to 669, right? It's not great. It's not poor. It's fair. What does fair mean in our world, in our credit card world today? Well, fair means depending on your level of income, and if you're a first-time credit holder, you might be able to get a credit card. That is basically the boundaries for someone getting a credit card. Other factors will apply. I can tell you the main factor here will be whether it's your first time or second time going for credit, as well as your income qualifications. But as long as you're not poor, you got at least a 50-50 shot of getting a credit card. So what is good? Good is from 670 to 739. And you should know that the average American, their credit score is 716. So the average American has what we call a good credit score. So looking at this for a moment, we know that a fair person should be able to get a credit card. So a good person should be able to get an auto loan debt. Can someone in good condition get a mortgage? The answer is no. I'm not a bank. I'm not a mortgage company, but I would say probably not, just based on my over 30 years of experience. But if you see the very good section, the very good section being from 740 to 760, and as you can see, that's a very narrow range. Well, now, of course, you can apply for a new credit card. Yes, you can go get an automobile loan, and now you can go get a mortgage. And if you were to enter the excellent area, which is from 800 to 850, well, then I guess you can buy China, right? Because you're good for everything else, right? So how does one find out their credit score? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have the internet, go to transunion.com, go to expedient.com, or go to annualcreditreport.com and go get a copy of your credit report. Your credit score will either be on the top right-hand or left-hand side. So I hope, Danny, this was helpful. Danny has shared his numbers with me. What Danny has to do, as I suggested, and if you saw our show last week, is that If you remember, I said there were some things on your credit report that could be inaccurate or outdated. And if we took those things out, right, it actually boosts up the credit score a little bit. So Danny's in a good position. Just some cleanup he needs to do on his credit card end. Ladies and gentlemen, if anybody needs any help with their credit or debt situation, feel free to give me a call, 347-575-5045. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching our show this week. I hope our show was helpful to you. Please watch our show next week. We're going to still talk about credit and debt, but we'll be talking in particular about debt consolidation, right? How can we find a credit card at a low interest rate so we can take our high debt and consolidate it into a lower account? And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already on the YouTube or Facebook channels that you're watching this show, please press the subscribe button. That way, you'll see us every Friday live at 5 p.m. Be financially focused. Have yourself a great weekend.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We